What is going on in Greenwich?
What the heck?
Big news everywhere. It's the top story everywhere. An assistant principal in Greenwich is on administrative leave after a video online showed that, or purportedly shows him talking about discriminatory hiring practices. The now viral video released by Project Veritas shows Cobb Elementary School's assistant principal, Jeremy Bolin, saying that he wouldn't hire Catholics, conservatives, older applicants, or anyone he didn't believe was progressive.
Right.
And everyone's commenting now, from the governor to senators to first selectmen to you name it.
Everybody.
This ain't good.
Nope.
This ain't right.
Right.
Shouldn't do it.
Distance.
Let's talk to R.C. Maxwell. He's with Project Veritas. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So it's a 12-minute video that was released. How much total footage is there?
Total footage? That's a good question. That's almost like asking a news program, how much total footage they captured while out in the field. We had a similar question asked of us by News 12 and a little pushback to our founder, James O'Keefe, but we stand by our reporting. The interview that you saw was the interview that was newsworthy. Obviously, that was the information about Mr. Bolin talking about discriminatory hiring practices. People are going to ask all sorts of questions. Who was your undercover journalist? What did they say? However, we stand by our reporting.
Yeah, let me ask these questions.
If you feel like answering them, go for it.
Yeah, I think I could take a walk and get a cup of coffee. You're going to ask and answer my question. All right, so you don't know how much, but do you know how many days, how many months did it take for this whole thing to, because it's a whole project. This reporter had to build trust with this assistant principal, right?
Well, yes. We have a duty to report the news as it is accurate to the public. And, sometimes news organizations would potentially just say, hey, I'm a reporter. What's your opinion on this? However, that answer isn't necessarily as sincere as one might believe. So we can either take information from people as they say it and deliver it to people, or we can do undercover work, which is a dead industry, a dead subset of journalism, and we can kind of get the more organic, raw truth. And that's what you saw from Jeremy Bolin, the assistant principal. Clearly, he's speaking to someone he trusts, but as you can see, he knew he was being spoken to, which means, are his words any less accurate or relevant? And judging by the impact so far, we would say that there's no difference.
Yeah, I think that when you don't know you're being recorded, you might say things that you wouldn't if you knew you were being recorded.
You're more candid.
I'm not questioning any of that, and I think it is what it is. The clips speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to figure out, how can someone who, allegedly is smart say something so stupid to somebody? Is this a lifelong friend? Is this someone he's known for years?
Again, we can't reveal too much of our sources and methods. All I can reveal to you is, as you can see, the date stamp on that video was right there. These dates took place in July. So we did quite a bit of news gathering to corroborate this information. And according to our corroboration, Mr. Bolin is smack dab in the middle of all of these panels, all of these hiring boards, which means that these things he's talking about are very real.
It's a real thing.
So sometimes reality is ugly, and as you can see in that video, there's a lot of behind the scenes, a look behind the veil, as we like to say.
Was there a physical relationship between the persons asking the questions and him?
There was a physical relationship insofar as they were both in the same physical space.
Well, you know what I mean.
If you're asking if there's anything nefarious going on, the answer is definitely not.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. We talked to a reporter an hour ago, and it was weird how he presented it to us. He said heavily edited, politically motivated group.
Right.
And I thought to myself, those things are true. But what we see on the recording is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Are there clips of this guy, if we saw it, it would change our view of what's being said?
The answer is no. Over at Project Veritas, we've only had to issue one correction in the past 14 years or so. And most news entities, have retractions once a month. So we hold ourselves to a higher standard at Project Veritas. And again, we stand by our reporting. And I think one of the reasons you will hear mainstream media outlets say, oh, Project Veritas, politically motivated. Oh, Project Veritas, heavily edited. Those are just instances of the mainstream media ultimately being upset that we've done our job, and it's resulted in this kind of backlash that local journalists, obviously, you could have gotten the story themselves. So oftentimes you'll see them accuse us what they are guilty of themselves. We don't have a political motivation.
I think everybody kind of knows now when they see a news story, it's framed by the person who did the story.
Yeah.
From their point of view. Right. You're not going to, there's no hey, down the middle stuff anymore. Here's my view on this.
One side or the other.
I mean, the clips of this, they're pretty, it is what it is, unless you had some voice synthesizer or whatever. But
right. It's pretty damn.
They are what they are.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering if are there things in there that if you put that out there, he would seem not as bad. You know what I'm saying? So if we saw all of the footage you had.
Like something you said prior, yeah.
Like if I had all the footage, would I be able to edit that together and make them actually look good?
He's talked about discriminatory hiring practice. He's talked about, using his job in order to deliver a subtle political message that parents might not necessarily agree with. I don't think there's any way to make that look good.
Yeah.
Again, we think this is something that's often an instance of the mainstream media trying to delegitimize our reporting. Maybe they have a political motivation to do so. But I'll tell you, at Project Veritas, we just post people talking in their own words.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about your everyday work life and you're talking about how you engage in illegal activity and you're being spoken to, that almost begs the question, what else are you doing?
Right.
So I think as a result of this investigation that apparently has been initiated by Connecticut, we will find out if Mr. Boland is a good guy or not. And I think that this investigation, they're hiring an outside attorney. I do imagine we will get an answer on this soon.
Yeah, it's pretty. I think that anyone who saw the video will break into three groups. One group will be like, excellent, this is what we want. More people that are hiring teachers like-minded to me.
Yes.
Another group will say, well, we knew this. The guy's dumb enough to say it, but we knew this was happening.
Right.
And then there's the group that's going to be really angry over this. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, we're all about building consensus, and we do believe there will be some parents who may be aligned with Mr. Boland, but at the same time, they still may question whether or not this is good for the kids in the long run. So the accountability we seek at Project Veritas is simply the information. We've gotten people the information, and now we simply sit back and see what happens.
Man, I'm interested. There was so many questions I had, and I could tell you're not going to answer them. For whatever reasons, and
right.
I get it. Yeah.
But
I'm watching. I'm like, man, the camera angles. You were able to get the sound, even though there's a lot of restaurant noise. You were able to get a mic close.
Yeah.
And then all of the things this guy said, I'm like, he must really trust this person
to be so candid. Yeah.
Yeah, and that must take some time to build that trust.
Or
you have someone like a friend flips.
Yeah.
I was really
we are very good at what we do because this is the only thing we focus on. We don't do rewrites at Project Veritas. We don't redo media packages at Project Veritas. We simply do this. So since we've done this investigation, we've gotten a litany of tips from Connecticut about all sorts of instances of corruption. So, this is why we do what we do, so we can essentially be the answer to the question, what can I do? So people at home, people in Connecticut, they're reaching out to us. we expect more to come in education in Connecticut.
Well, do you guys cover all states? I know you're based out of New York, but do you cover all 50 states, or you focus on this area?
Northeast, whatever.
We cover all 50 states. We sure do. We have journalists everywhere.
Interesting. There was some talk that there'd be more video released today.
That is correct. Chad, we have a couple more videos coming out. This is part of an education series on the secret curriculum. Maybe in honor of Jeremy Bolin, we should have called the piece the subtle curriculum. However, we will have more stuff coming out today. They will not necessarily focus on Connecticut, but it will focus on an area very, very close to Connecticut. So please stay tuned. We have more stuff coming out, more administrators, more teachers, more information about what's happening as kids are going back to school.
How, if you're going to be asked to release everything that this guy in Greenwich said.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen? Would you guys do that?
But we've done that before. We've released 100% unedited raw. We had an instance with NPR where we had to blur the name of someone who was undercover in Libya. We did that, and we were still attacked as engaging in redacting and editing information. So no news organization releases all of their raw. It remains to be seen if that will be required in this instance. However, we stand by our reporting, and just like other investigations that we've done in the past, we're just going to let the investigation unfold, and you're going to find out a lot more from this attorney, from the investigator, and
what attorney?
There's apparently been an independent attorney that will be hired.
Okay. All right. You mean through the investigation of the town and the Board of Ed, we'll find out more?
Correct. So we've published our story. We stand by our reporting. We don't think that any raw publish of our video is going to do anything to change any conception of Mr. Bolin.
Oh, I got you.
So let's just let the investigation play out, and all will come out in the end.
Gotcha.
What's funny is we're at a point now is, some people don't care, but the people who do care, we're divided into two camps.
Yes.
And I think that you see if your camp does something allegedly wrong, you just say, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
The greater good is my tribe's doing the right thing.
Exactly, yes.
And then the other side saying the same thing.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? There's one group saying, yay, go. And then there's another group saying, who cares?
Right. Exactly.
I don't think anyone is anyone who is I don't think anyone of that political party is going to see that and say, this is horrible what they're doing with the kids. I want them to decide on their own which political affiliation or how history unfolded in
like-minded camp. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the one political thing that I will say today on this lovely program is that I do think we need to get to a space in our country where we are less partisan. And that's one of the things we do enjoy about Project Veritas. So far, there's been Democratic elected officials. There's been a Democratic governor of Connecticut weighing in on this alongside Republicans. So there seems to be in unison outrage over Mr. Bolin. You don't have to like Project Veritas. You don't have to like R.C. Maxwell. But we do think that what we do in terms of unveiling corruption, waste, and fraud, we do think that that is a universal message. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We will keep getting criticized. But thanks to folks like you who are interested in at least covering this.
Right. Lou from Norwalk wants to know, why wait until the first day of school to release the video?
Why wait until the first? I'm not quite sure if that was the first day of school locally. I know nationally school starts differently. So I'm not necessarily.
Was there a timing of it? Like, let's release this right around school opening?
It does take a little bit in order for us to corroborate information and to vet information. So I'm sure there were lots of considerations to try to impose a deadline in which to complete this.
Right.
But that kind of just all goes into news gathering. Again, we hold ourselves to a strict standard. And even though this guy Bolin is talking about engaging in discriminatory hiring practices, we still have to do a little bit of due diligence and news gathering to make sure that he's not simply blowing smoke. And sometimes those things can take about 2 to 4 months. And in this instance,
like I was thinking about like how do you defend those where like if you're him and it's like, hey, I was interested in this woman. I know she's a lib, and I wanted to say whatever I could say to
that you would like,
maybe get another date or whatever.
Exactly. Advance my cause here.
That's why I think that if this woman was like a potential love interest, that that would be his defense. Now, do you guys investigate Republicans as well, or is it just Dems?
Yes, I'm not sure. I'm guessing Boland is a Democrat based on what he said. But yes, we investigate Republicans. In fact, someone will be in court in early November as a result of one of our voter fraud investigations. Okay. She is a Republican. Her name is Raquel Rodriguez, based in Texas. We do investigate Republicans. Please look into some of our investigations into Republicans. We've done several this year, including of several current elected officials.
All right,
Lisa
good.
Murkowski, John.
Well, we investigate Republicans. If that's true, that we need more groups like you that are willing to expose whoever does something wrong, not just one side.
Right.
So.
I hear you on that, brother. We are in alignment there. And Project Veritas is a group that goes after both. We are nonpartisan and a nonprofit, and we're going to keep at it. And if we have something else in Connecticut, I'd love to come back on and discuss it with you guys.
Well, we'll link up to your website on the radio station website. I see you have a place for tips and donations and whatnot.
Yeah.
So keep it up. R.C. Maxwell, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Channel